This is what you need to know now. President Trump and world leaders tout the Iran deal overseas amid pushback here at home. The Gilgo Beach serial killer sentenced after admitting to 8 murders in New York. And dramatic video showing a Coast Guard officer leaping onto a runaway boat. I'm Andrew Dimbert from ABC News. It's Wednesday, June 17th, and here's the big story. President Trump wrapping up meetings with world leaders at the G7 summit in France. Those leaders releasing a joint statement overnight calling the tentative deal with Iran a historic opportunity to prevent Iran from acquiring any nuclear weapon. Rachel Scott is traveling with the president in France.
Andrew, President Trump just wrapped up a press conference here after the end of the G7 summit, taking a number of questions on this deal and this tentative agreement now with Iran. And of course, this comes as he's facing a whole lot of questions back home about not only what is in this agreement, but also what exactly comes next. It sets up this 60-day period for these negotiations to continue to try to sort out the future and the fate of Iran's nuclear program. But the president is still not ruling out launching the United States back into this war. It's clear that he understands the economic impact of this, even calling it an economic catastrophe at one point. But he says that if Iran does not comply with the details of this, then he will go back to bombing Iran. The president did not rule out this idea of giving Iran ballistic missiles. He says that if other countries have them, then Iran may need access to that as well. The president also acknowledging that Iran could benefit financially from this deal if they comply. But still, there's certainly a lot of questions on whether or not this deal can hold. And while the president continued to rail into the deal that was signed under the Obama administration, it is worth noting that Iran has long said they will not seek or have access to any nuclear weapons. So still big questions hanging over all of this and exactly what happens next when it comes to this ceasefire, when it comes to possibly going back to war, and also when it comes to whether this agreement will be signed. The president says as of right now, the vice president is expected to sign this agreement in person in Switzerland on Friday.
The other big story we're following, dramatic video from Texas showing emergency officials and Good Samaritans racing to save passengers on board this plane after it crashed onto a highway. The plane on its way to Austin when police say it suffered a mechanical issue, hitting one car before sliding down the road. One person is dead, but 5 other passengers were taken to the hospital and are in stable condition. A growing wildfire has almost 12,000 people under evacuation orders in Washington state. Powerful, strong, dry winds have spread the upriver fire to more than 200 acres. Now officials say some homes have already been damaged, and more than 2,300 are still in the path of the fire. In New York, the man accused in the Gilgo Beach serial killings on Long Island has been sentenced to multiple life sentences without parole. Rex Heuermann pleaded guilty in April to murdering 8 women. Family members addressed the court today during impact statements. Prosecutors say cell phone data and DNA evidence helped solve the case more than a decade after the killings. Aaron Katursky is at the courthouse.
Rex Heuermann came into a packed and silent courtroom with his hands cuffed behind his back in a rumpled gray suit, blue shirt, and gold tie, and said almost nothing. He said his words would have no meaning. He was soft-spoken, and the judge was incredulous. You mean to say you're not even a little bit sorry for what you did? And he appeared to sort of acknowledge that he was sorry, but family member after family member confronting Heuermann in court said he showed no remorse. They showed their hatred. They called him an ogre. They called him a monster. It was a dramatic and emotional capstone to the Gilgo Beach serial killing case that has haunted this community for more than 30 years.
Accused killer Luigi Mangione back in court today. He was supposed to appear yesterday, but a paperwork issue by prosecutors pushed back the proceedings. The judge says the case is still on track for trial in September and asked attorneys for both sides to prepare for jury selection. And if you're looking for a front row seat at tomorrow's Knicks championship parade, it's gonna cost you. Listings on the app AirTasker show people paying big bucks to get someone to wait in line for them. Prices going from about $50 all the way up to $800. If you don't want to pay, the city is giving away about 600 tickets through a public lottery, or you could just wait in line yourself. The parade starts tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. in Manhattan. We have much more what you need to know. Here's your daily briefing. Other big stories we're following on ABC News. Officers deployed tear gas as protests erupted in Mississippi after a child was shot and killed during a confrontation with police. Investigators in the city of Centenobia say the shooting happened Sunday when officers responded to a shoplifting call at a Walmart. They claim 2 people ran from the store with a child, got into a car, and drove toward them. They say that's when they opened fire. The child was identified as 1-year-old Cohen Wiley. A second person was critically injured. Walmart saying in a statement that the company is saddened by what took place at its store. Senatobia police did not immediately respond to a request for comment Tuesday. The police department said Sunday on Facebook that it was committed to full transparency. The Coast Guard stopping a runaway boat near Annapolis, Maryland. The boat was racing in circles after a man was thrown overboard, but the Coast Guard ship manages to pull up beside it so an officer could jump on it and shut down the engine. Fortunately, no serious injuries were reported. And talk about draining the swamp. The National Park Service is scrambling to clean up algae, turning the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool green just days after a nearly $15 million renovation. President Trump recently touted the project, saying the pool was repainted American flag blue and would last for decades. Now, crews were spotted pouring a hydrogen peroxide treatment and something called nanobubbles, ozone technology, into the water. Finally, before you go, the World Cup fans going viral, specifically Norway's supporters. They were seen doing the Viking row coming out of a Boston subway station, and they kept rowing inside the stadium while watching their team beat Iraq 4-1. And that's what you need to know. For breaking news and live updates throughout the day, check out ABC News, streaming on Disney+.
New episodes daily on Disney+.